So I was a teacher trainer my whole life. I've written so many books on that. If you ever look me up, you'll see that you'll probably see my name under like education books and teachers manuals and that type of thing. That was my previous career. So today I'm actually bringing out some of those skills in my previous career just to do a visualization warm-up. So I want to do one, I'm going to teach you two techniques. One, I thought I would teach you a little bit about nutrition. I'm going to teach you a really great smoothie that's going to be an amazing thing I'd love for you to start drinking in your daily life to your best of your ability. But I'm going to teach you the nutrition behind it. Now, I'm not here to teach nutrition really today. I'm here to demonstrate a memory technique. So I had to find some content to teach you so that you could learn the memory technique. And knowing that you've all come to Phuket Cleanse, I assume everybody's interested and excited about good nutrition. So I decided to use nutrition as the content for which you'll learn the memory technique. So mainly what I wanted to show you, and some of you might have even seen me give this talk before, is so many people are aging in an accelerated way because their nutrition is lacking specific micronutrients. And when we lack certain micronutrients, it causes DNA damage. And every time we get some DNA damage, that results as aging. So if you've seen a friend or know somebody who's really experienced accelerated aging, you can assume that it's happening because they've had some DNA damage. There could be a number of reasons for it, but nutrition-wise, it's often because we're missing some of the nutrients that I'm going to tell you about today. So I'm going to tell you about these nutrients, and I'm going to explain it as a smoothie, because there's a smoothie, if you make it a few times a week, you will protect yourself from getting these micronutrient deficiencies. Now, as often as possible is great, but even if you did it 3 times a week, it allows you to feel really good about your nutrition, that you have satiated some of these micronutrient requirements. So I'm going to tell you the recipe for the smoothie and what each ingredient does, but you're not going to write it down. You're going to memorize, okay? So in order to memorize this smoothie, I would like you to think of a location that you know well. It could be, say, your childhood home, or it could be your current home, or it could be your neighborhood, or if you work at an office and you know the building like the back of your hand, or you know a particular street like the back of your hand, or you remember your elementary school or your grandparents' house. I need you to think of a location that has a number of rooms or buildings in it, because we're going to put something in each room or building. So say if you're choosing a house because you know a big house really well, and you know that the house doesn't have enough rooms and it maybe has 5 rooms, I'd like you to at least have 10 parts of your location. So you could, if you say you're choosing a childhood house, but you only have 4 or 5 rooms in the house, but you need 10 spaces, you might remember the street. I might remember pulling up on the street and visualizing the first house on the street, or that tree you know on the street, or it has to have a logical order. So I would give you an example of a house I'm going to use for this particular technique. I'm going to think about, there was a house where I was babysat, and it was at the end of the street was my elementary school, and that there were 5 houses. So there were 3 houses before my babysitter's house. So for the first location where I have to memorize something, I'm going to use the school as the first part of my series of locations. Then the next part will be the stop sign at the end of the street. I'm going to use that as a location. This will make sense to you in a minute. Then I'm going to use the first house on the street and the second house, and then eventually I'm going to go into the home. So hopefully you kind of have a location. You might need to change your location if it's not working out for you, but hopefully you stick with the same location, because we're about to enter this journey. So first of all, the first ingredient that you need to know about in this smoothie is that you have to have some leafy greens. So at the very first spot in your location, so if you're entering a house, it could be the front door, it could be the front yard, or it could be the street in front, or it could be the end of the street, or it could be a building. Wherever your starting location is, I need you to see some leafy greens there. Whatever leafy greens you would love to put in a smoothie. I want you to visualize it. I want you to interact at some level with them, maybe taste them or throw them around, or imagine you're standing there naked with the leafy greens on your body. The more ridiculous that you can make the image and even more embarrassing or emotional, the better you're going to remember. So if you just picture a bowl of leafy greens, you're probably not going to remember this recipe. Like, I want you to remember this recipe in a month. I want in a month, you don't need to pull this recipe up. You could just make it because you made such a ridiculous visual. I guarantee if you were going to win the Memory Olympics, you would be bare naked with a bunch of leafy greens on the street and everybody laughing at you, because that would elicit an emotional response. So anything that's going to really elicit a response that you're never going to forget. Okay, so why leafy greens are important, so you're going to learn some nutrition along the way, is that leafy greens are your best source of magnesium. Now, magnesium is the #1 thing all of us are deficient in, and it's the #1 thing that's causing us to have DNA damage, lack of energy, or any health problems. I chose leafy greens and magnesium as the first thing because it's the first nutrient. If you say, I'm going to do one good thing in my life, I'm going to get magnesium in my diet. You can do it through any kind of leafy greens or green powder. So now you've got to connect yourself standing there bare naked with those leafy greens around you with the word magnesium. How can you connect the word magnesium? Can you visualize yourself holding a bottle of magnesium? In America, we have these things called Mack trucks. I don't know if Mack trucks are all over the world. Is that just an American thing? I don't know. Mac. So I would imagine a magnesium truck going by, or somebody throwing magnesium at me saying, put some clothes on, you're standing there with leafy greens all over you. So just remember, magnesium is what we get from leafy greens that is so important. And magnesium makes energy. So how can you visualize yourself standing there with these leafy greens on, and that leafy greens are a source of magnesium? Maybe you see yourself holding a magnesium pill or something like that. And you just all of a sudden having a ton of energy. Imagine you're eating those leafy greens, taking the magnesium, and you kind of got like a rocket under your butt, like a rocket has the fire. Well, the old rockets did. And you all of a sudden have energy. Remember, magnesium is required for energy. So that is why you need magnesium. You need magnesium for energy. So just remember that, the first thing. Now you're going to have all of this memorized. I'm going to test you guys. All right, next. The next thing in your smoothie that I'd like you to consider that'll be really important is spinach. And spinach is a source of folate. So folate helps you to produce red blood cells, but folate is extremely important. So in your next location on the street or in this house or the room that you're visualizing it in, imagine yourself eating spinach or having spinach or spinach in the room with something related to the word full, like what, do you know anybody named, is there a F name with full in it? Folate. How can you remember folate? We have to connect at the word folate. Do you know anybody with the last name Foley or Folly? Fol. There's no word that sounds like full, really. Maybe in another language, or maybe you know somebody named Foley, somebody with the last name Foley. I don't know how you could remember that, but the idea is to make a visual out of it. So anyway, if you can come up with the next idea is that you have spinach in it, and spinach has folate. Folate's very important for red blood cells. So imagine maybe you're eating spinach and you've got red blood cells just like growing in abundance around you. Maybe you're sitting on a mountain of red blood cells. Red blood cells are important because they help carry oxygen to your tissues. So if you don't have energy and you're not feeling good in your life, you want to start with something like leafy greens for magnesium, spinach for red blood cell formation, because red blood cell holds oxygen. So the second room should have spinach in it. And as I say, spinach has folate, which is good for red blood cells. The third thing I'd like you to think about in your smoothie is kale. And kale is really high in absolutely everything. Kale is high in everything, but it's best if you chew it and it's raw. So it'd be really good for you to learn how to marinate your kale, because if you have things like, if you have marinated kale, it turns on your anti-aging genes. So in that next room that you imagine, or that next location in your series, imagine the kale. If you can see the kale in a very visual way, see yourself chewing it. Maybe like if you think of a cow chewing kale, maybe imagine a cow chomping on kale because it's better chewed and raw. So you can imagine a cow chewing kale in that room. And then the cow all of a sudden becomes like a young calf because kale has such anti-aging benefits. It turns on the anti-aging genes. Then the next thing in the list, if you can go to another room in this smoothie, is rainbow chard or chard. Does anybody know? I hope you guys know what chard is. Chard is one of these big, you might have to look it up. Chard is a leafy green, but it is extremely powerful one. If you look it up, Swiss chard or chard, it is very high in vitamin K1 and K2. And pretty much everybody here is deficient in vitamin K1 and K2. Vitamin K1 and K2 is really good for bones. So if you could imagine, and it's also good for energy. So if you could imagine yourself, maybe you can look up right now what chard looks like and imagine the chard in the next room. Chard looks like is a huge leaf. You could maybe imagine yourself fanning somebody you would love to fan with it, and their bones just getting big and strong in front of you. Or maybe you've got a bone in one hand and a piece of chard in another, and you're fanning them with a bone and a chard. That's a ridiculous visual, but you won't forget that one because it's so ridiculous. Okay, so I'd like everybody to take a moment and tell me what's in this smoothie so far. Just, you could type it, and I just want to test you guys, test your memory of it, and what is each one of these ingredients good for, and what are the important nutrients? If you visualize it, this should be easy. Okay, good. We got, Naomi wrote leafy greens, magnesium, spinach, folate. Okay, kale. Yeah, good, 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 good. I like this. I like this. I like this. I like this. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yes. So right about now, you're probably thinking this tastes disgusting, but wait till I get to the good stuff. This smoothie actually is so delicious. And the good thing about you visualizing it, I think you'll make it, because you can start to see how it's going to really help you. And you're going to visualize it so much you won't even be able to help but make it. So the next thing in the smoothie is a little bit of carrot, which is high in vitamin A. And this is very good for eyesight. So in that next room or that next location, imagine the carrots in the room, and suddenly your eyes getting really, really, really huge and beautiful and glowing. And you're holding a report card that says the letter A, like an A+. Can you visualize yourself holding like a report card that says A+, because it's high in vitamin A, which is good for eyesight. You see carrots in the room, you holding carrots, your eyes getting really big. And then the next thing to put in it is tomato. Tomato is really good for preventing cancer, and it's very good for immunity. So maybe you could see tomatoes in the room and someone sneezing and you holding a tomato like a shield, because a tomato is really high in lycopene, which is improving your immune system. The next thing in the smoothie, now the smoothie is going to start to get better. It probably sounds disgusting right now, but I promise you will find it extremely delicious. You won't even believe it. You won't even believe all that green stuff's in it. Is avocado. Now everybody thinks of avocado of having good fats in it, which it certainly does. So again, I hope you've got that next room and that next location in the series of locations. So the avocado is actually extremely high in vitamin E. Now we think of avocado as having great fats, and it certainly has that too, but it's really high in vitamin E. It's also high in potassium. So when you think of vitamin E, a lot of people may know or may not know that vitamin E is really good for skin. So if you see any kind of skincare product, you'll always see vitamin E in it. So maybe you imagine eating an avocado in that location, in that room, or I don't know, imagine just putting avocado all over your skin, washing it off, and your skin just glows. Like you have a glowing skin. It's glowing so much, the light is coming out the window. And then the next thing they put in it, and this is where it starts to taste good, is a bit of banana. So in the next room, you visualize a banana in such a dramatic, ridiculous way, doing weird things with bananas. I'll leave that up to you. Anyway, banana, you got a banana, that's super high in potassium. And potassium is really part of our hydration system. It's part of, I think it's best to think of potassium as a very important part of muscle and nerve cells. So if you can imagine that. And the final thing in the smoothie that makes it taste so delicious is apples and blueberries. And apples and blueberries turn on the anti-aging gene, specifically blueberries. So if you could imagine yourself in one of these final locations in your series of rooms, just eating a bunch of apples and blueberries and suddenly being dramatically younger, like 10 years younger, that's a good way to remember it. And then you can blend it with some flaxseed milk, or flaxseed milk would be a good thing to blend it with, or some kind of milk that would be healthy, not dairy milk, but coconut milk or a little bit, or almond milk, or whatever kind of milk. This actually will taste good. If you can do it 3 times a week, you have covered all of your nutrition. So write the recipe for me now on the screen and tell me what each thing does. And then I hope you make it tomorrow or over the coming days. Write the recipe. What is everything good for? And I tell you, if there's something you can't remember, it's because your visual wasn't dramatic enough. It wasn't ridiculous enough. It wasn't sensual enough. It wasn't crazy enough. Anybody who wins the Memory Olympics, their images are so ridiculous and almost disgusting and crazy that they can't even tell anybody. You can't win the Memory Olympics with boring imagery. Yeah, very good. So again, this is a good thing for all of you guys to be doing nowadays, is making a smoothie like this. I actually covered the key nutrients. This is actually a smoothie from some of the best nutritionists in the world that are really that have developed these recipes so that people can feel confident that they've covered their nutrition. And if you make this smoothie, you have covered some of the key things, and especially nowadays, the key immunity and energy requirements that you have to your nutrition. So there's your smoothie. Yes. So the next little visual warm up I'd like to do is, I would hope that to keep your brain really sharp, that you won't write down your shopping list or to-do list anymore. If you actually will visualize your to-do list or shopping list, again, it keeps the brain sharp. But what we find when people visualize their to-do list, they actually do it, because you've put it so deep in your subconscious that you end up getting it done. It becomes such a part of you, you almost can't not do it, because you've pre-lived your to-do list. So I'd like for you guys to take a moment and write maybe 10 things either on a to-do list or a shopping list. And I want to show you how you from now on should not go to the store with a list, because it will be some brain training for your memory and your imagination if you do a visual to-do list or shopping list, whatever you want to work with. So hopefully you have 10 items on your list. I used to go to the store for Phuket Cleanse, and we used to have like 50 things on a list, sometimes 70 things on a list when we were busy. And the kitchen would just tell me, and I would visualize the whole list in order. And then I would repeat the list right back to them. And they're like, don't you want us to write it down? I'm like, no, no, no. I will go to the store. I'll bring everything back. And I'll remember the whole thing. And you can do that too. And win the memory Olympics too, if you start visualizing your long shopping list. So I'm just going to give you an example. What you do when you're visualizing a list of things is you have to connect each one visually in your mind. So I'm just going to tell you a Phuket Cleanse shopping list. I'm not going to give you a to-do list. So imagine the very first thing on my list is cherries. And the second thing on my list are cashews. And the third thing on my list, I'll say, is toilet paper. The fourth thing on my list is, say, essential oils. The fifth thing on my list is, trying to think of some ice for the ice bath. That's easy, ice. Okay, so all I have to do to memorize this list is my first thing on my list is cherries, and the second is cashews. So I have to visualize cherries and cashews together in a very interesting way. So I might visualize myself putting cherries and cashews in a blender, or I might visualize myself sticking cashews inside cherries, like taking out the seed and sticking cashews inside cherries. So I got cherries and cashews linked. Then I have to link in my mind's eye cashews and toilet paper. So then I would imagine now the second and third thing on my list being linked. So I imagine wrapping toilet paper around cashews. And then the fourth thing on my list is essential oils. So then I have to visualize toilet paper with essential oils dropped all over it. And the last thing I have to visualize is essential oils and ice. So I can just imagine going over to the ice bath and putting essential oils. So do you see, you link the first with the second with the third with the fourth with the fifth, and you visualize it all in your mind. So naturally I can visualize, I think even you could visualize what I said, cherries, cashews. Oh my God, I forgot. Oh, toilet paper. I didn't get a good visual of cashews wrapping around toilet paper. Cherries, cashews, toilet paper, essential oils, and ice. So I had to connect each thing in the list with the next one. I think you see how I did it. So I'd like you to take a moment and look at your list real quick. Do a visual like this, where you connect 1 with 2 and 2 with 3 and 3 with 4 and 4 with 5. You don't connect them all like together in one giant thing. Again, you connect each individual. And then you can turn your list over and see if you remember your shopping list. And the next time you're allowed to go out and shop freely, you won't need a list. So maybe you could test yourself. You could probably visualize 100 things in your list easily. And the only reason you'd ever make a mistake is if your visual wasn't crisp and strong and interesting enough. If you ever forget something in the list, you just didn't make a good visual. That's always the mistake. So don't give up on it. But I really encourage you to try to memorize anything you can like this. When you're studying new material and you're trying to acquire the material, start to visualize the new material. You'll be able to get through massive amounts of material and imprint it on your mind using these visualization memory techniques. So anyway, have fun with that. And that was just a warm up for some of the funky stuff we're going to do. The other part of visualization I wanted to mention is in the field of sports psychology. So if you study any sports psychology, or if you Google visualization sports psychology, you will see every great coach who's worked with either people who are training, if they're personal trainers, or if they're working with great athletes, they have their clients visualize themselves in the workout or visualize themselves in the sport. Michael Jordan was really famous for constantly visualizing precision shots and all the crazy feats that he did. Pretty much every great athlete you'll see, their coach requires a tremendous amount of visualization, because it doesn't improve their sport and their physical benefits just a little bit. It increases their physical benefits and sport in such a great manner that it is a requirement in the field. So I assume everybody here, because you've come to Phuket Cleanse, has an interest in working out, or perhaps has an interest in sport of some level. So I want you to think of that next workout that you might do, and you can begin to visualize yourself doing it. But I think maybe what I'll do is guide you through sort of a number of visualizations. They might not be the workout you will do, but you can see how this will work. So imagine why don't we imagine you're back at Phuket Cleanse and imagine that you're heading over to the gym. We have a gym. For those of you who've been here a long time ago, you haven't seen, we have a gym at the big villa in the front. So some of you guys, some of you guys wouldn't remember that. You wouldn't know that because you haven't been here, but some of you guys would remember Big Villa. So we have a gym there in the front. So imagine you're walking out of the driveway and you're passing by the ice bath. And I want you to visualize yourself first getting in the ice bath successfully. Like you're just dropping in the ice bath because you're going to begin to prepare your body for the workout. And I want you to imagine yourself feeling that chill, that cold now. And imagine yourself breathing into it and relaxing. And you feel really chilled, and you can really visualize yourself. And I want you to feel it on your skin. I want you to almost feel your body shivering. I want you to feel your muscles tensing up. And with every breath, you begin to relax so much deeper. And you're able to do this ice bath thing. And you're seeing yourself being really successful in the ice bath. Now, I guarantee the next time you come to Phuket Cleanse and you get in the ice bath, this will help your performance if you pre-visualize yourself doing this challenging feat. Now you're walking through by the ice bath and you're going to the front garden where there's a gym. And I want you to imagine doing something everybody can imagine doing, something everybody knows. I want you to imagine picking up some weights, and I want you to imagine that these weights are a little bit heavier than you would normally be able to do. Maybe you're a little concerned about your form with it, but you want to visualize yourself doing it, and not visualize it as if you're seeing it happen. I want you to feel into it. And imagine squatting with these weights and feeling how straight your spine is. First, feel into the spine, being really straight, adjusting the spine. Feel into this very, very strong stance you have holding the weight, and begin to squat down. And I want you to feel your quadricep muscles and see your quadricep muscles getting bigger and stronger and sturdy, and breathing into it, and then pushing yourself back up in a perfect stance, and then squatting down again. And I want you to really feel now into the area where you feel this exercise will challenge you. So take a moment as you're in the squat and begin to feel where you're getting shaky and you're getting a little bit uncomfortable and you're getting overly stressed. And I want you to breathe into that area and bring energy into it. Feel the tension in the muscles, feel the muscles getting stronger, and push yourself up from that squat. And feeling so much stronger right now, feeling those muscles have really grown, feeling really strong, feeling a lot of energy, feeling like your posture and your stature is perfect. And go for another squat. Going slowly again, feeling a little more challenged than you felt before, but also feeling quite strong. Breathing light into it, breathing energy into it, seeing the muscles growing, getting stronger, seeing your butt getting stronger, seeing your butt muscles strong. And then feeling again where the challenge is. Where do you feel the stress? What part of you is overstressed? What part of you can't take it anymore? Bringing energy, adjusting your stature, and pushing back up in it, and feeling those muscles getting bigger and feeling them getting stronger. And while you're standing there, I want you to imagine then sitting on the ground and getting ready to do some sit-ups. And a lot of people are challenged by sit-ups and challenged to have good posture in it. And I want you to actually feel yourself doing these sit-ups and really paying attention to your posture, paying attention to the straightness of your back, and beginning to feel that tension in the abdominal muscles where you're about to collapse. You're about to collapse. As you're doing sit-ups, you're about to collapse. You'd see your muscles and your abs getting ripped, just really getting strong as you keep going in the exercise. When you're about to collapse, you keep moving through it. You feel those muscles, you feel that six-pack under there, pushing you up. You can't take it anymore, bringing more energy to it and pushing through, noticing your posture getting better and better and better and getting stronger. And maybe standing up and looking in the mirror and seeing the shift and the change in your muscles. Now your quadricep muscles feel a little bit stronger. Your abdominal muscles feel stronger. And now let's go to the biceps. Picking up some weights and beginning to work those biceps. Doing some curls, feeling the tension in the bicep muscle. Knowing just by visualizing it, you're exercising that muscle. And that is the power of visualization for personal training. For any of your PT work, you want to visualize that muscle getting stronger because you're already bringing energy to that muscle. You're stimulating that muscle just by visualizing it. Keep doing those curls and begin to feel that fatigue, beginning to feel that you're going to failure. You're about to go to failure, feeling that lactic acid buildup and beginning to breathe, bring energy to it and just pushing out a few more curls, feeling that muscle growing. You could even move your body as you're doing it. It does help to be kinesthetic with it as you're doing your visualizations. If you want to be using the bicep muscles, if you want to be involving your body, it does help. And you're actually stressing those muscles. Okay, so that is something, of course, if you guys play sports, you've done a great job. I suggest that you kind of pre-train yourself before your workouts. Whatever your workout you might be doing, whether it's yoga, whether it's a sport like tennis or basketball or running, I'd like you to pre-rehearse your workout. That pre-training we know has a dramatic effect on performance, but actually the visualization begins to stimulate those muscles. And the results, like I say, just go on YouTube and type in sports psychology visualization, and you'll see it is an absolute requirement in the field. So that's another way for you to use visualization. So yeah, I hope you pre-train before your training and you'll have a lot more success. Yes, so now we're about to enter into the next part in which we're going to be doing some intuition work. And this is where you're going to need a piece of paper and a pen. We're going to put you together with a partner. And my partner is Tamara. And I want you on your piece of paper to write an intention or desire you have for yourself, that if you were going to, everybody maybe has a little dream or a little challenge that they want to overcome. Everybody has something that they might need some help with. Like for me, my big question in life is, how am I going to rebuild Phuket Cleanse post-COVID? It's going to be a different world. Are people going to train together? Are people going to go in ice baths together? Are people going to travel again? So my big question, if I could go to a professional psychic today, if I could go to the most psychic person in the world, my question for them would be, my intention is to build Phuket Cleanse in a more glorious way than it even was before. That's my intention. That's my dream. That's what I want. And if I was to go to a psychic, I would say, ask the psychic to give me some advice. So I'd like you to kind of write a dream or a question that you would like some support. If you're about to go visit the world's best psychic, what would you love some advice on? Now, you don't have to show anybody. You don't need to show anybody. You're not going to show anybody unless you, for some reason, want to. But I'd like you to write your little question, your inspiration, your dream, your challenge that you would like some support on a piece of paper. Now, we're going to put you in breakout rooms so that you can meet your partner psychic. So I'm going to guide you later on how to give an intuitive reading. And you're going to give an intuitive reading to your partner. Now, we're going to put you in a breakout room, not for you to do the intuitive reading. Now, you're going to do that later. I'm going to help you with that, but just to meet your partner. So let's imagine that Tamara and I, Tamara, say hello. Wait.
Hello.
Okay.
I've written my question on my piece of paper.
And we're suddenly in a breakout room together. We're all alone. I've never met her. Like what's going to happen to you in a few minutes. And I'm going to say, Tamara, my question's here. I'm not telling you my question. You're not telling me yours. I just want you to look at the paper and just see the paper. And I'm going to put it over my heart because it's important to me. And, oh, by the way, who are you anyway? So you guys are probably not going to know each other. So I'll say, imagine Tamara and I don't know each other. We're stuck in a breakout room all of a sudden together, like you will be in a few minutes. So by the way, who are you anyway?
Well, it's so good to meet you. I'm Tamara. I'm based in Phuket, and I'm a huge fan of yours.
Oh, really? Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm based in Phuket, and I'm, well, a huge fan of yours. And so you can just exchange information, get to know your partner, hold your paper, never show your partner your paper. Just get to know each other. So we're going to put you in breakout rooms, and for 5 minutes, you're going to get to know your partner. You're not going to tell them anything about your dream or your desire, what's on the paper. You're just going to meet the person that you will later be doing a psychic reading for that I'm going to help you with. If you ever, if you're in the room and you want to say, let me out, or you have a question, I think Tamara can troubleshoot, but there's nothing going to happen. You're just going to introduce yourselves, tell each other where you are, what's up, show each other your paper. And in 5 minutes, we'll pull you back out of the breakout room and then we'll all come together as a group. So you're just going to get to know your partner. This should be a very exciting moment. Suddenly you're going to be in a room alone with somebody. Okay, we got you all paired. So and I'll say goodbye. Have fun. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Yeah. So little by little, everybody's coming back. So the next thing that you're going to do is we're going to do a really deep guided meditation. Like it's going to be a visualization meditation. So I'm going to take you through a deep visualization. I'm going to do some hypnosis on you and take you so deep, you'll suddenly be the world's best psychic in no time. Okay. But I think you should stand up, go to the bathroom, take a few minutes and then find a place to lie down and get comfortable, because this is going to be quite a journey. If I have to turn you into a psychic in 15 minutes, I got to pull out all the stops, right? So if you could just maybe step, stretch, walk around, get water, go to the bathroom, do what you have to do, come back in just about 4 minutes, and then make sure you have a place that you can lie down and get really comfortable before I take you on this visual journey. So everybody should have their eyes closed. Everybody should be leaning back or lying down. And just really getting as present as you can. Getting so deeply into this moment and observing every sound, sensation, temperature on your skin. And I'm just going to guide you through a few deep breaths. And I want you to breathe into the belly. I'm going to count in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, in to the belly, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in to the belly, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just breathe naturally now. And with each exhale, you feel your mind sort of detaching. Your mind is feeling quite floaty as your subconscious starts to travel. And with every inhale and exhale, you can travel further, just floating, not to any particular destination, just feel very light. The lighter you become, the easier it is to float. Imagining yourself just floating along as if you're flying like in a dream. And you're just gliding through the sky. Flying. Feeling like a cloud. And if you're not feeling like a cloud, take a deeper breath and a long exhale. With every inhale and exhale, you're more cloud-like and you can float. Breathing in and out of the sound that you're listening to. And you are starting to head in for a landing. As you see below you a beautiful gemstone blue stream, glistening like a blanket made of multicolored diamonds. And you're floating, getting ready to descend toward the stream. As you continue to observe the river below you, the glistening river seems to flirt with the sun, who radiates upon her. As you descend and float down toward the stream, you notice it's not a stream, but a river. The majestic river burbles along polished, slippery rocks. And as you land, you find yourself standing in front of a sign near the river. And the sign has some instructions for you. It says, "Welcome to the river into your intuition. Lie down in the river, flat on your back." And so you do. It's like you're in a ride at an amusement park, and you find yourself with warm water wrapped around you. The warm water nestles you like a blanket, and it wraps around you like a seatbelt, as if you're about to go on a ride at an amusement park. And the river speaks into your ear and says, "I will take you on a journey into your intuition." And as you float upon me, the river, your belief system about your intuitive abilities will be completely rewired into positive beliefs that you are intuitive, that you can tap into your intuition anytime you want. As you lie there with the warm river wrapped around you and knowing how exciting this journey is, the thought of taking the river on a joyful ride seems enchanting, as this is the river into your intuition. Any intuitive or cognitive upgrade you would love to be enhanced on this river's journey will be enhanced. Your memory, your intuition, your ability to make decisions. Any enhancement in your imagination and intention gifts that you've dreamed of having will be enhanced as you float along this river. And the river will wash away all negative or limiting beliefs you have about your intuition, imagination, and cognitive skills. Are you ready for all of this? Are you ready to make this shift? When you are, the river will begin to float. You will begin to float. Make a decision you're ready for a greater intuition, a more exciting imagination, and fast, swift cognitive skills. The river begins to carry you as it meanders jubilantly through a coniferous forest. As you breathe in and become deeply oxygenated, smell the pine forest. Feel and almost taste the pine trees in your mouth as you breathe the pine forest air. Breathe the pine forest air, and with each breath, you feel your beliefs about your intuition and imagination that don't serve you well are beginning to depart through every exhale. Any limitations you've had felt about your intuition or imagination, you see leaving like a cloud with each exhale. You see one belief at a time leaving your body each time you breathe out. The first set of beliefs you are letting go are ones you feel have held you back before, or you didn't trust your hunches, or your belief in your cognitive or imaginative abilities. Watch those limiting beliefs depart one at a time. You watch these beliefs float up into the salmon-colored sky, observing birds circling around the sky in great lazy loops. Every once in a while, a bird will run into your belief so fast and hard, the belief explodes and dissolves and is completely gone. Just lie there watching those birds floating around in loops, running into your limiting beliefs and exploding them one at a time. Joy overtakes you as you see these beliefs are truly gone. The birds have flown into them and exploded them all. You feel lighter and fresher and capable. Life feels easier now as you know your intuition can guide you from here on in. Your intuition will be a shining star and help you to be in the right place at the right time. You continue to float along the river, noticing how everything is so bright and glistening. As you're carrying less weight from those limiting beliefs, they're gone, they've been destroyed, and you're feeling so light. From now on, you will live a life with confident beliefs about your own intuition and imagination. Each day experiencing something more exciting than the day before. As you continue to flow down this river into the deep recesses of your intuition, you pass beds of perfumed flowers. The air smells like a lavender's paradise. Smell it now. Smell the lavender air wafting through your nostrils. You are so looking forward to returning to your life with this new limitless belief system about your intuition and imagination. You have the belief system of a champion, as you know now anything is possible. Decisions will be effortless, as you will have that gut feeling to support you, and it will always be right as you will tune into it. You decide to exit the river as you see an endless field of roses, and you decide that you'd like to walk through the field of roses, finding a towel that you can wrap around you to dry yourself off, and beginning to walk through the field of roses, maybe getting pricked on your skin from time to time, but overwhelmed by the smell of roses. Smell the roses now. Let the roses relax you deeper and deeper. Smell the different colors. Smell the pink roses. Smell the red roses. And smell some yellow roses in the distance. You glow inwardly as you observe the wild roses. And you notice some pink blossoms that look like a bridal bouquet. The glory and magnificence of this sight you behold now reminds you of how rosy life will become now that you know you can count on your higher guidance and that you can create a more exciting life with your vivid imagination. You see some white steps in the distance. A warm pool of light touches each step, creating a carpet of light for you to ascend high into the sky. You ascend up the light and you find yourself standing in front of a huge library in the sky. A most majestic library, like the old libraries of ancient Athens. You're standing in front of this library and you see a giant door in front of the library, the biggest door you've ever seen. The craftsmanship on the door is as solid as a medieval stone castle. You find that to open the door, you will need to turn a bolt clockwise. You begin to turn that bolt clockwise really hard, feeling your strength in your biceps, feeling your biceps flex as you turn this vault door, and the vault squeals like a tortured violin as it opens. Hearing that squeal now. And when the door pops open, you find it takes you into a Victorian library which holds all the intuitive information you would ever need for yourself or others. You view the magnificence of this room where you have never been. You see a scarlet sofa. You see books with bindings of every color from saffron to olive to mustard yellow. Notice the vibrancy of each of these colors. And then you see out the window different weather than you've been experiencing today. Through the window, you see a winter scene. The snowdrift gleams as if fistfuls of stardust had been scattered on it. An apricot sunset announces to you that dusk is on its way. And then you notice how the crackling fire in the room harmonizes with the wind outside, who is whistling a frigid tune. Hear the fire crackle and hear the whistling wind. Love and warmth buzz from every corner of the room as if a loving grandmother designed it. There is a waft of chocolate cookies and pastries baking in a nearby kitchen. Smell them now. Smell this chocolate. Now smell the cinnamon. The sumptuous aroma is surrounded by smells you associate with holidays, such as spiced wine and spiced tea. Christmas-scented candles and savory holiday dishes made with thyme, rosemary, and sage have spread an aroma throughout the room. Smell that now as you sit down in a comfortable place, laying in a sofa as your work will begin. You come to the part of the journey where you're just going to lie there and rest. And imagine your partner's question on the paper. You don't need to think of what the question is. Just mention that you would love to get some images or feelings or senses, that could help your partner. And all you need to do is lie there and rest. There's nothing to do, no effort to be made. Just lie there and rest for a while and see what comes over you, but nothing to do. Just imagine you're heading to sleep, beginning to rest, and I will be quiet now. So feelings, sounds, visuals, tastes or smells might shower upon you that make no sense at all. They'll be random symbols, random ideas that may mean something to your partner. And little by little, you feel good that maybe something came to you. Maybe it'll come over the coming days. If there's any symbols you want to remember or feelings you want to remember before you come out of it, just take notice. Take a moment to remember anything that might have come to you, as random and weird as it might be. It might not make sense to you, but it may make sense to your partner. And little by little, you can come back to this space and time, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And it should just be playful and fun. And maybe even silly as you share your information with your partner, this stranger on the other side of the world. So I'm going to imagine imagine tomorrow as my partner. And I actually didn't do a reading for tomorrow, but I want to give an example if I did. And some really weird things came to me. And some of them, I understand the meaning. Like I saw a symbol of a bee. Now, a bee has a very strong image, a meaning to me, and I know exactly what that means. It means that it's a time that life hurts a little bit, but a great opportunity or change is around the corner. But then I saw a symbol of a baseball. And it doesn't mean anything to me at all, but does it mean something to you? Like if you tomorrow see a symbol of a baseball or hear a baseball, does that have a meaning to you? Because I saw a baseball really strongly and I saw the ball going into a catcher's mitt and it was being caught like that. Does that have a meaning to you?
For me personally, baseball means a lot to me. So it has something to do with my childhood, and very much it's a family related thing. So it would make me reflect, probably to do with that part of my life during my childhood.
Okay. So you could take that image and like catching a baseball, what would that mean to you? If I saw an image of catching a baseball, does that mean that can you tell me how that would relate? You don't have to tell me your question, but how that symbol would speak to you.
That symbol, particularly thinking of that part of my life, would be victory, right? So I was very competitive back then, and it would be triumph, victory, playing against the boys. And if I was able to catch the ball, it would be that I'm capable of pushing through, being part of a more boys community, let's say. So that's what it would symbolize to me. If I was to catch that, it's just victory. So that would be the meaning to me.
Okay. So like this, you can share any random impressions. Like I say, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think your partner's going to quit their job tomorrow and based on your psychic reading today, just have fun with it. But if you heard some words or you had some senses, some people smell something, some people taste something, sometimes people see a word. But if it doesn't make sense to you, don't try to push it. Tell your partner what you saw or felt and ask them what that means to them, because the message could be for them. Unless you strongly exactly know what that symbology means and it has very clear meaning, then you can share that, but also give your partner an opportunity to interpret the symbols or feelings or thoughts. So we're going to put you back in your breakout rooms, and no matter what happened, don't just have fun with it. It's all real playful and silly, and we'll just have a good time. So we're going to have you in your breakout rooms for 10 minutes and let each partner have 5 minutes to share. So if you each have 5 minutes to share with your partner, and we will see you on the other side of this. You have about 60 seconds left. All right. Well, I'm glad to have everybody back, and hopefully people have a few new ideas they didn't have before, or you've had a chance to dip into your own intuition. And I hope through the week, you start to look into those gut feelings, hunches, having more confidence about leading your life through your own intuition, as opposed to what everybody tells you to do, what the news tells you to do. This last exercise that I was very excited to do with you is based on, some of you might have heard of this one experiment called the Maharishi effect. And it was about a group of meditators that would work on, meeting once a week and visualizing changes in communities where there was a lot of violence or problems or poverty. And instead of these meditators coming every single week and just meditating on nothing or on themselves, they would go into communities and visualize healing and improvement of the quality of life in different communities. And a lot of researchers were studying these meditators and studying things like violence and crime in the communities, and really trying to see if there was an effect by meditators. And they found a lot of interesting things, a lot of changes in the communities. So there have been a lot of books written about it. One book is called The Intention Experiment, in which they were studying lots of people like ourselves meditating together, and scientists would study the effects of what they were meditating on, whether it was somebody's healing or whatever the group was meditating on. And they also, it took them a long time, but over the course of about 15 years, the scientists tried to find what things worked. When a group of meditators were meditating on healing or fixing or repairing or improving something, what techniques worked and what techniques didn't work, and what techniques really worked a lot. You know, what things could really amplify the meditator's effects. And it's been great because actually the answers were quite simple. The answers that the scientists found through all these studies is specificity was one. So often we pray or we intend or we wish in a very vague way. And the scientists found whenever meditators were meditating with some intention, they were very, very specific. They had a clear statement. So specificity was important. And the other thing was very important, that the meditators had energy, that they did something to power themselves up. Like they would get centered and they would do some breath work, and they would have a very clear statement that they were all meditating on. And it was specific and it was very visual and it was very crisp and clear. So I created a little statement today because I still follow this group, and this is something this group is working on. And I created a little statement that we could visualize today and send some intention around as a group. And that is that the intention is that we, over the course of the next few weeks, will begin to see the curve flatten. We will see the curve flatten, and we will see soon, after the flattening of the curve, people able to come out again. Stores and restaurants opening, people being able to commune again, and seeing a bright, shiny, excited society, all brand new and fresh, to take on the new world. So the other thing, usually they are very specific. So when I said we will see the curve flatten, the scientists would say we would have to say flatten by how much. But it was very, very important to be specific. So I would say, let's visualize the curve over the coming weeks to flatten by 20%. So if we can visualize the curve flattening in this epidemic by 20%, and those who are unwell beginning to heal, and by summer, seeing people starting to go into restaurants, stores, and people communing in a fresh, happy way. So that's a very clear visual. And I'll repeat it again, that we see the curve over the coming weeks flattening by 20%, people who are unwell healing, and people who are well even beginning to be stronger and more vibrant. And then we begin to see over the summer, if you're not in Australia, it's Australia will be winter, over the summer, in the Northern Hemisphere at least, restaurants opening, stores opening, and people vibrantly entering a new society with freshness. So I will just give us 10 minutes, and there's no guidance. We just sit for 10 minutes. If you want to lie down or close your screen, turn off your screens, we will just sit in a united front, visualizing for 10 minutes. Just make a quiet space for yourself. We'll all visualize on the same intention, and this will be our intention experiment. So you can just sit, close your eyes, and relax, and begin to heal the world over the coming 10 minutes. Now I'd like you to take a moment to think about that partner that you worked with today. Just visualize yourself sending energy to him or her, and sending some light to the challenge or opportunity on your partner's paper. Wishing light and success, prayers and energy to your partner who you worked with today. Just seeing light and energy, you don't necessarily need to know about their situation. Just sending that energy from your heart. Sending healing energy to your partner's body. Seeing energy go where it needs to go. Knowing you are making change and a shift for your partner. And now redirecting our energy, intention to the group, sending energy and healing to our inner circle here today. Seeing each member of this group experiencing greater vibrancy, strength, happiness, light, excitement, confidence. Sending light, feeling the field, the biofield of the entire group growing. As we feel ourselves getting stronger through this unified field. And feeling that energy extend into our families and our loved ones. As we're growing the energy so much, we see that energy growing, seeing our loved ones and families sharing in this energy. Now that energy moving into our communities. Let us all breathe in and out to raise our light. With every breath, we're raising our light as a unified group. Maybe you can feel the connection. Moving into it if you can. Feeling that part of you that's not physical, but the energy the group is creating. whenever you're ready to come back. Ken. I hope everybody's feeling stronger. If it's daytime, maybe you can go do a workout, but maybe visualize that yourself doing that workout first. Pre-rehearse your workout, and you'll see great benefits. Well, thank you for joining us. I have a few announcements. Over the coming month, we will have some other events. The second Sunday, I am planning to interview Craig. Craig, many of you remember Craig as our hotshot nutritionist, and he's had a lot of time to get even better at his craft. And I am planning to interview him the second Sunday of May, and he'll have a lot of nutrition information to share. And from now till then, hopefully you'll drink a lot of those green smoothies, so you'll be already on it. You'll be younger, faster, fitter, stronger from those green smoothies. I promise they taste great. I know that it sounds like they taste horrible, but that little bit of banana, that little bit of apple, and those berries actually make the green smoothie taste quite magical. And you'll feel really good from it right away. So I hope you drink some of those green smoothies. I hope you pre-visualize your workouts. I hope that you never write down another shopping list. Write it down and throw it away, go to the store, check yourself later. And your to-do list is a really great one. In that to-do list, they say that if people actually visualize their to-do list, they're more likely to do it. So maybe visualize your to-do list and begin to tune into your intuition. So Rita, I think I had something to show, a PDF.
Yeah.
Well, I'm teaching an intention games course. It's called Intention Games. And I've been announcing it every week. We have a little brochure here on it. I don't know if everybody can see it.
No, not yet.
But we can send it to all of you guys. It's really doing, as I mentioned, I was studying with a group of physicists who studied about intention and studied the, what ways of intending actually really works and gets real results. And so I put together this brochure of this 8-week course, and I'm really quite excited about it because I know that people will get a lot of changes in their lives, mainly from the intention and intuition skills we develop, but doing it as a group. That the one thing they have found when groups of people are intending on themselves or for others, they have a real magical shift. So I'll send the information to you guys, but you'll see that every week we will spend about 90 minutes to 2 hours, like we did today, working on a different skill. The first week is just basic skills of intention setting and what things really work based on what the science has shown when they've studied intention setters and people praying, what ways, what techniques really work. So we'll learn that the very first week so that we can get in there and start doing intention work for ourselves, for our communities, for our world right now. And we'll be doing some brain training also, learning to focus the brain, learning to actually use a lot of meditation tools that will actually get the brain in a real state of flow and relaxation. We'll start working on having a more service mindset, because this is when the magic really kicks in for people, when they start not thinking about themselves, but start thinking about others as they create even their own intentions or intentions with family. And then after you start to put those skills together, we do something called supersizing intention, where we intend for each other. And this is where the magic comes. When you have a group of a limited size that begins to intend together, that's when the physicists have found they've seen the greatest magical results. So even though maybe I'm intending for some of you today or for my partner today, I actually will walk away getting a lot of benefit too. As we intend for others, we find that individuals have great healing in their own bodies just by doing intention work and prayer work and healing work for other people. So that's one of the things that the scientists have found. And then again, reality architecture, really working on specifying, creating the realities we want to experience, and techniques that actually have been measurable by scientists. The last one of the 6th week is more about detoxifying the body so that everything works better, that our intention skills, that our creativity, our imagination, our intuition, everything works better. So this is a proper detox and diet that I would be leading people through. And the last 2 weeks is really us doing some really great breathwork ceremonies to really amplify our work and our attention. And what's cool is you're going to learn a lot of meditation practices in here, a lot of, and also you'll learn a lot of breathwork practices through the whole course. So we'll send this to you, and I'll be starting this the 2nd week in May, and it'll last for 8 weeks. So we'll meet once a week. And of course, we'll have replays and materials and worksheets and all that kind of thing. And also, I'll be back doing the next call the 2nd Sunday of May with Craig. So we'll send you information about that. So I thank you for all the time you spent with us today. I feel like I've held you hostage in your inner world for many hours, but hopefully you feel really good and you experience magic in your life today.